Hey guys, it's Coach Ian here. Today we're going to be talking about the two most important tests in determining how long you're going to live, or essentially if you're going to survive the next 10 years, if you want to look at it like that. So in 10 years of doing strength and conditioning, for the average person, especially if you're over 50, I think these are just the most two important things that we can do to measure kind of really how well you're doing, regardless of kind of like strength, regardless of how much you can back squat or how much you can deadlift. But what are like the two most important factors that I would argue? And so we're going to be getting into those today. So first one, you probably knew this one was coming up, but it is aerobic health. And I'm going to give you some actual numbers. And I do encourage you to do more research because this is the biggest indicator if we're going to survive the next 10 years. So there's a lot of different ways to do capacity, VO2, all those tests. The simplest one that I recommend is just setting up a 1.5 mile long course or going to a track and just timing how long it takes you to run 1.5 miles. Now, you take that time, there's plenty of free online calculators. You plug it in there with your age, and it's gonna spit out your time. You can then take it to a VO2 chart, and it can tell you your chances of surviving the next 10 years, or your 10-year survivability. So an example, if you are a 45-year-old male and you can run 1.5 miles in 10 or 12 minutes, anywhere in that range, that's really good. Your chances of being here in 10 years are about 96%. Super solid. Now, if you're still 45, but it takes you over 15.5 minutes, your chances are now less than 77% that you'll be there in 10 years. Not so great. So with women, 45-year-old woman, if you could run 1.5 miles in anywhere from 11 to 14 minutes, it's a really wide window for that. Your chances of being here in 10 years are 96%. Pretty solid. Now, if it takes you more than 21.5 minutes to complete that 1.5 miles, then your chances of being here in 10 years are less than 77%. Now, there are other ways. There are plenty of ways to test this on a bike. There's ways to do it walking. There's plenty of ways to do it. And this isn't meant to scare anyone. This is just meant to hopefully give you a reason to do cardio. So if you are, no longer 18, no longer 20, you want to live a very healthy life, this is a reason to do cardio. Zone 2 or interval, whatever it is, just get out and move in a way that tests your heart. Now, the second fitness test that I think is incredibly important is the 30-second sit to stand. So it's exactly as it sounds. You just pull up a chair, you sit down with your arms crossed, and then you stand up. And you see how many times in 30 seconds you can do that. And the correlation between how many reps you can do and if you're a fall risk is a very strong correlation. Some studies that I've been looking at saw that folks that retested, like they got marked as fall risks within 6 months, 50% of those people sustained at least one fall, which is really scary. So this one hits home for me because I had a grandmother who fell and broke her hip, and it was kind of the beginning of the end. And the research kind of supports that. The 5-year mortality rate for folks that break their hip that are over, I believe it's 75, is 37 to 45%, which is outrageously high. That's so dangerous. And those numbers only get worse the older that you get. And it can cause a lot of other really harmful cognitive effects. You're no longer moving, so everything else slows down. Your aerobic capacity is going to slow down, and a lot of other things can happen. There's a lot of things we can do for bone density if we did fall, but I'm limiting it today to just these two tests. So, there's plenty of resources out there as far as what are good numbers, but if you are a 65-year-old person, you just retired, you want to have a healthy life, you're not trying to break any records, but you just want to be like, okay, what's the okay level? So if you're 65 and you're male and you can run that 1.5 miles in 21 minutes, that's okay. That's good. That puts you in the top 50%. That means there's a 91% chance you will survive the next 10 years. And then as far as the sit to stand, if you can get 12 reps, That's also good. If you're a 65-year-old female and you did that 1.5 mile long run, we want to be able to do that in 25 minutes. And if you can do the sit to stand 11 times in 30 seconds, you're good. Now, in both of those cases, there's plenty of room for improvement, but as long as you reach those benchmarks, you're doing solid. Now, if you can't, I do encourage you to please try and do some strength training, and your body will thank you, your family will thank you, and you're just taking care of yourself. So I hope this helps. I hope this provides some guidance. This is something that is very close to my heart. It's affected, me and my family, and I hope this gives you guys some guidance. Have a wonderful day. See you all later.